Part of having divine feminine energy that helps you attract provider men and really anything that you want in life starts becoming very magnetized to you is understanding the power that women have when it comes to receiving. The problem is that most women's instinct to receive has been cut off, and I've done other videos on why that you can check out. In this video, I'm going to be giving you very practical steps that you can do to get really good at receiving, and not only get really good at receiving, but also continue to expand your capacity to receive, because you might just be good at receiving at one level, but then once we start going past that level, you start getting uncomfortable and you are liable to self-sabotage. Hi, my name is Amanda. Welcome to this channel where we talk about how to manifest what you want in life without all the extra stress, chaos, and drama that most people are accustomed to. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. Lately, we've been talking a lot about relationship dynamics. So what's healthy masculine energy? What's healthy feminine energy? What does polarity look like in relationships? Y'all have been sending a lot of dating questions in the comment section. So if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, give it a like, and share it with a girlfriend, because a lot of women out here ending up in situations that are exhausting because they're not picking the right men. So make sure to give it a like because it helps this get in front of more people. And as always, I have extra resources for those of you who want to go deeper. In this case, the best resource will be the masculine and feminine energy dynamics masterclass, which you will find in the description below this video. And those of you who've been asking about working with me privately, you'll find the information for that as well. I have limited spots available for that. Okay, so up until now, we've been talking about receiving and why it's so difficult for women to receive. We've done videos on like historical reasons why women have to shut off their feminine energy basically to protect themselves. And I did another video recently on a lot of the stories that women grew up with that makes it very difficult for them to receive when they are adults. We've also gone into why it's so important for women to be able to receive, especially if they want to attract a very masculine provider man, because masculine men love to give to the feminine. But if you're shutting that part off of you where you're not good at receiving, he's going to pull away, or he's going to stop, or the dynamic is going to change. So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing practical steps that you can use in order to start receiving more today and start expanding that capacity to receive, because even I get uncomfortable sometimes with how much my husband wants to give to me, and I will give some examples of how I moved through that. So number one is you want to start learning how to nourish yourself. A lot of women out here are too busy doing things for everybody else. A lot of you are in dating situations where you're trying to prove your worth to a man. So you need to stop doing that, because it does not work. That is not how men fall in love. Men need a challenge. You need to be the prize. You need to be on the pedestal, and they need to work for it. And that's actually how they fall in love. The problem is that most of you have it backwards, because you've been told that you have to give everything of yourself, or you're selfish, or a bad woman, or whatever. But you know, psychologically, that's just not how romance works, right? Between men and women. And that's how a lot of women end up in situations where they're with men who don't cherish them, men who don't value them. The men that would value them don't even see them. So that's number one. And one of the ways that you can start seeing yourself as the prize is to start nourishing yourself first. So you have to determine what it is that you actually like. And one of the things that I find really interesting is most women cannot tell me what it is that they enjoy doing. And I'm talking about women who are single and dating, all the way through women who are in their 50s and 60s, who've been married for decades, and now their kids are out of the house and they have more time for themselves. I'm like, okay, well, what do you find pleasurable? And they cannot tell me, because most women have spent their whole lives giving to everybody else around them, because nobody taught them how feminine energy works, or they've been taught that their worth is through what they do, not realizing that that doesn't work in romance and relationships. So you have to get clear on what you really like. So for example, I am at the pool today because I enjoy reading books by the pool, lounging around, and I enjoy going for a dip and a swim. Now what's interesting is I've been living in this place in Mexico for 2.5 months, and I've been to the pool once in those 2.5 months. Granted, we were moving and there was a lot going on with that. But this week I was like, girl, what do you like to do? Right? Because even I forget sometimes. And I'm like, oh, well, you like to go swimming. And then it's like, oh, duh, I have a pool that I have access to in my development. Why don't I go this weekend? So that's what I'm doing. Or I really love to read books. I love to read. I have an insatiable appetite for learning new things. Insatiable appetite for those things. So those are some of the things that I do to, nourish myself. Now, I know some of you might be super busy because maybe you're married and you have small kids and you're working and it's like a whole different situation. Some of you might only have a couple of hours a week to yourselves. Well, if that's the case, you need to pick a date on the calendar and you need to treat those 2 hours like they're sacred. And that's when you give to yourself. Maybe it's meditating, maybe it's journaling, maybe it's painting. I have a private client recently that we discovered she really likes to play piano. Okay, girl, go play piano. Right? But she hadn't played the piano since she got the piano. So it's really important that we learn to nourish ourselves, not only because it helps us get really good at receiving, but it's also just a really good way to take care of yourself, period. Because there's so many women who are out here giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, and they're depleted. And that was me a few years ago. I was giving and giving and giving and achieving and achieving and achieving. This was before I met my husband. And I had a breakdown and I ended up losing everything because I had gone so long without giving to myself that I broke down, which is what is happening to a lot of women. A lot of women in their 30s and 40s are breaking down, whether they're single or married. The single ones are breaking down because they're like, oh my gosh, I built my whole life on achievement and now I'm single and I wanted to have kids and a family. And the married ones are doing it because the married ones are in dynamics where they're taking care of everybody else but themselves because they may not understand how polarity works in a relationship. So you have women in their 30s and 40s having full-on breakdowns in the United States. And then when you start having those emotional breakdowns, maybe you don't make the best decisions, right? So it's part of what we're trying to avoid. So if we learn to nourish ourselves, then we are more easily able to, it's just more sustainable, right? So it's not even just about receiving, it's also about living a more sustainable life. It's like being on the airplane, right? And then you have to put your mask on first before you help somebody else with their mask. Same thing, same exact thing. So that's number one, right? Is get clear on what nourishes you and then start doing it. Maybe it's on a daily basis. If it's a small thing, maybe it's a weekly basis. Like the pool thing is probably going to be a weekly basis thing for me, at least while it's still summer and it's still hot outside. So that could be something. And if you have no idea what even makes you happy anymore or what even gives you pleasure anymore, then start experimenting with different things. One thing you can do is you can go back to what made you happy as a kid. So I remember after I had my breakdown, one of my mentors, and we weren't talking about feminine energy or any of that. We was more like an expert in neuroscience because I'd gone into a state of PTSD. That's how fucked up my nervous system got, right? Which is what some of you are experiencing. And it was triggered by a lot of things. If you've been around for a while, then you know the story. But one of the things that she had me go do, and I didn't realize at the time how this was actually helping me with my feminine energy. She goes, what did you like to do when you were a kid? And I was like, well, I like to paint and I like to swim. Like I like to go to the beach and the pools and stuff. She goes, okay, time to start painting and swimming again. This was a few years ago. And again, I hadn't nourished myself in so long that it felt really uncomfortable. So that's where some of you may be. Maybe you need to go back to what you enjoyed doing as a kid and then start there. Okay, so that's number one, begin to nourish yourself. Number two, start making pleasure a part of your daily life in very small ways. So pleasure is the realm of the feminine, softness, leisure, pleasure, rest. That's all the feminine. And there's lots of reasons for that. It's not like woo-woo. We can even see it in our own hormonal cycles and how that works out. Or how it's supposed to work out, but modern society, it's kind of difficult in modern society to live in that way. So we have to be very intentional about it with what it is that we do. So for example, I make sure to schedule in something pleasurable every single day. So for example, here's something that I do that's very small. And it doesn't have to be big. A lot of women like to go to extremes. They're like, it's either like I'm fully in my masculine or I'm fully in my feminine. And if I have a job and I can't do the pleasurable things, I need to set myself up to be able to quit my job. I said all that bullshit too before I understood any of this stuff and realized that it's really more of a dance. So one of the things that I do is, let's say I'm making breakfast in the morning for myself and my husband, and I'm like doing my morning chores where I'm like feeding the pets and all that kind of stuff, or taking the dog out. I will play soft music. I will play soft piano music or whatever I'm into that day, and I've already romanticized the situation and made it more pleasurable. I love candles. I love incense. I've got them going all the time. So that's another thing that you can do, is just the candles and the incense, because pleasure isn't just like sexual, although we can talk about that too on another video. Pleasure is just whatever brings you joy. And a lot of people are living in a way where they're in such survival mode that they don't realize that these tiny little things can actually help them bring joy. Maybe it's buying your favorite lotion. Maybe it's spending more time outdoors or outside. Just whatever tiny little things bring you pleasure, start making that a part of your routine. So for example, now playing the music while I'm making breakfast is a part of my routine. Lighting candles while I'm, working or doing something around the house is a part of my routine now. Making sure that I have time to read every day, because I find that very pleasurable, is a part of my routine. So it's not like a once in a while kind of thing. It's not the when I have time kind of thing, because a lot of times I don't have time. It's not I need to live a completely different life kind of thing. It's really taking responsibility and just doing things in tiny little ways where we can bring a lot more of that pleasure in. So that's another thing, is making pleasure a part of your daily practice and a part of your daily routine. Another thing that women can do to get better at receiving is you can start running experiments, especially those of you who are married. Here's an experiment my husband and I did yesterday. So we decided to do this experiment, right, where I was just going to ask him to do a bunch of stuff all day in a very feminine communication kind of way. I was not demanding things from him. I was not controlling him. I was using all the feminine communication skills. Like, oh, my love, I would really love it if you take the trash out today. I would feel so taken care of. Stuff like that, right? It wasn't like demanding him to do stuff. And I started, and he's like, sure, let's do it, right? And he took the chores off my plate yesterday, like the household chores. He cooked for us. Usually I'm the one cooking, or our housekeeper's the one cooking. If she's not cooking, I'm cooking. He cooked for us. He doesn't really cook, right? So he's the one who cooked for us. And I started to realize, like, halfway through the day, how uncomfortable I started to feel. By the time we got to lunch, I was feeling uncomfortable. But the thing is that was good for me to notice, like, oh, here's my current capacity for receiving. How can I breathe into this? And how can I start feeling worthy of this, so that I can receive more from my husband? Right? Because imagine how ridiculous it is to not even feel comfortable receiving from your own husband, but a lot of women feel that way. So that's an experiment, those of you who are married or partnered, that you can do, right? Just be like, hey, I'm gonna run this experiment today. Let's see how far I can get with actually receiving, and then we can start getting some data. And then we can start little by little expanding more and more and more and more. So for example, I'm in a stage right now where life is good. Like, we've got 2 businesses. We're getting more attention than ever on social media. We were both entrepreneurs before we met. It's easier than ever. I'm living in Mexico. Like, look at this. This is what I get to freaking hang out in every day. Life is very good. I have a wonderful marriage. It's beautiful. Like, there's a lot of polarity in it. I get treated like a queen. And I was like, damn, right? Like, I remember there were times when, like, I could just manifest one thing, which was like money, and that was all I could do, and then everything else was a mess. And now is when I'm starting to get to a stage where it's like, oh, I can manifest multiple things at the same time. Now, the reason for that, and I'm going into my next point, is because I've learned how to regulate my nervous system and expand my capacity to receive more. So every time I start getting uncomfortable, I have go-to exercises that I go to help me breathe into the pleasure and be able to receive more and expand my capacity and expand my limit. Because due to ancestral things, cultural things, historical things. I mean, you guys tell me in the comments all the time how uncomfortable you feel with receiving. So it's like you have this certain set point, and we have to start learning how to expand the set point, expand the set point. And a lot of that has to do with regulating our nervous systems. And I have a 4-step process that I teach in the Hustle to Harmony Masterclass, which you can get below. But I use that 4-step process every freaking day. The visualization that I teach in that masterclass, which helped me manifest my husband, I do every single day when I am in the process of manifesting the new thing, right? Whatever that new thing might be. So we have to learn these practices and these tools. Otherwise, we're limited in terms of how much we can receive, or we start to sabotage. And because we start to feel uncomfortable with receiving, or we start to feel anxiety, then we, for example, will start treating our husband like crap. Some of you do, because you feel so uncomfortable. I see it, right? Like your husband tries to give to you and you're automatically like all tensed up because you feel so uncomfortable, or you're so in your head and not in your body. So learning how to regulate your nervous system is huge, and you can go find my 4-step process on how to do that in the Hustle to Harmony Masterclass, which then brings me to the final point, which is learning how to get out of your head and more into your body. A lot of women out here, because they're constantly doing for other people, or they're achieving all the time, or just life in general, are living on survival mode. And a lot of times, or because they've been taught that their value is now in what they do rather than who they are or who they are being, then a lot of times all the energy is like neck up. And I know when I'm coaching you guys, or when you're in our workshops and things like that, I know when a woman is living from the neck up, because there's usually some tall tale signs. Number one, I'm very energetic and sensitive, so I can just I can, it's almost like I can see it, like all up here, right? And there's like methane from the neck down, but there's some other signs. One other sign is talking too damn much, which I've talked a lot about, is nervous energy trying to get out. There's no room for silence. Another sign is moving way too fast. Another sign, which a lot of women tend to do as well, they're moving way too fast through life, and that usually tells me all the energy is neck up. Overthinking is another one, so they're already creating problems in their heads that don't even exist, is another way in which that shows up. Like, for example, a lot of you are like dating right now, and then you'll be like, okay, well, so this guy asked me out, what if I don't like him, or what if he does this at the dinner? I'm like, girl, you haven't even gone out with the man yet. Like, can we go out with the man first and then see what happens and get some data? But you're already so far into the future in your head, or already creating all these problems that don't even exist yet. That's usually how I know a woman is hypervigilant and living from the neck up. So one of the things that you want to learn how to do is start doing things that get you back into your body. So it might be as simple as using your 5 senses and then learning how to savor the things around you. So for example, my husband and I went out to breakfast this morning, and he was working on his laptop or whatever, and I just sat there and I just let the wind hit my face, and I just took that in, and it was so good, and it immediately got me in my body. Or I'm going for a swim today, that's going to get me in my body. Or if I'm putting on moisturizer or lotion or my skincare, I do it slowly and I do it mindfully so that I feel the sensations on my body. A lot of you like just don't feel anything anymore because you've become so hyper vigilant. So these are tiny little ways that you can start training yourself to get back into your body and see how it is that you are actually feeling. And it's all free. It's all free. I'm sitting here, I'm gonna get sun, I'm gonna go in the water, the breeze is in my face, and it feels absolutely amazing. And I take all those things in and I see how it feels, and I allow myself to feel the pleasure that comes from that. I allow myself to feel the temperature changes. I allow myself to feel what it feels like to get in the water, what it feels like to have a breeze come in. The breeze feels really good. It's like my favorite. Or to be out in the sun, having all that warmth and that vitamin D just nourishing my body while I'm reading a book. I allow myself to really experience those things and use my senses. Or, I drink coffee, or I don't really drink, like the most I'll do is like a glass of red wine. Unless I'm traveling and somebody's like, hey, this is like the typical drink of this country, and I'll be like, okay, I'll try it, but that's about as far as it goes in terms of me drinking. But if I have a really good glass of wine, I'm gonna savor that glass of wine. If I make myself some espresso, ooh, I don't care if the cup is like this tiny, I'm taking my time, I'm nursing it, I'm allowing the tastes in my mouth. It's just little things like that where you start engaging all your senses and you start realizing, what sensations you feel in your body, and that can help you regulate your nervous system. It can help you slow down, and it can help you start feeling safe in your body again. So, and then, right, what you do is you allow yourself to feel more and more and more and more, and you slowly, right, start expanding your capacity to receive more. So that's how you can start expanding your capacity to receive, just in very small, practical ways that you can do every single day that will help you get more in your feminine energy and more in the energy of receiving, which those of you who want to live in divine feminine energy, those of you who want to attract very masculine men, man, you really got to get good at this, okay? Because again, they love to give. They love to give to you. But when you're so uncomfortable receiving, then it's very difficult for them to be able to give to you and fall in love with you. So hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. You can find all the resources below. Like I mentioned, masculine and feminine energy dynamics masterclass would be a good one for those of you who want to dive deeper into the dance of masculine and feminine in relationships and business and in every area of your life. Another really good one would be the Hustle to Harmony masterclass, where I talk a lot more about nervous system regulation and I teach you the 4-step process that I used to manifest this, honestly, and my husband and 2 new businesses and just a damn good life. And also I teach you how I expand my capacity to receive more in that masterclass and get my nervous system on board with what it is that I am manifesting. And those of you who've been asking to work with me privately, you'll find the information for that below as well. Thank you so much for giving me your time today, and I'll catch you on the next one.